Okay, so good to go. So welcome everyone to tonight's class on Rein. It's a leadership discuss, and like the picture on the slide is showing you, leadership has to do with vision, guidance, solution, teamwork, direction, strategy. You're all working towards a goal, communication, and all. Leadership is one word, but it's all encompassing. It features a lot of things. So we'll be guided by this outline. We'll just take some definitions, some facts about leadership, levels of leadership based on some of the things that I've identified. And I know that we've done a lot of courses, especially if you're in the social sciences, you'd have learned about types of leadership, which I mentioned in one of the publicity material I put out there, where we say, oh, there's charismatic leadership, autocratic, laissez-faire, and all of that. I think that life has sort of gone beyond that, even though that's not something to discard. It's something to take note of at a certain level. But as we grow and as we evolve, there are also new things that we need to begin to learn. And some of them might not be taught in school. Some of them would be in books. And I can assure you that everything that I share with you are some of the things I have experienced. Some the examples and illustrations are definitely my experiences. Some of them I have read in a book. Some of them I've heard from a senior mentor. And, a combination of all of this is what have brought about this presentation that I'm going to be sharing with us. And definitely, that as we evolve, I'm sure if I come back to this topic, leadership, next year, it will definitely be a different thing entirely. So the kinds of leadership competence that each and every one of us should harness as we grow, and then levels of leadership growth. And then I have a bonus for us. I hope we stay up until that time to get that bonus. So let's get right into it. Definitions. I don't know who is willing to share in the chat box. When you hear the word leadership, what comes to your mind? What do you think about? You just hear the word leadership. What comes to your mind? You can just put it in the chat box. And please be free. No opinion is stupid. No answer is better than the other. We're all here to improve and learn, right? So please, you can put that in the chat box. Be free. Yes, I think that's a good word to use. Be free to express your opinion. It will always be corrected. Thank you very much. Faith says servant. She says service. Yes, because there's such a thing as that, a concept called servant leadership. Thank you, Faith, for that. Who else wants to share? Abraham, I think you should want to share because it's something that you're very, very into. And thank you, Tamika. Tamika says leadership, starting change and helping others become change maker. That's very true. Inspiring others to do something different, something better from the way that they would usually do it. I totally agree with you, Tamika. Just some words that it might not necessarily be a definition. It might be a word that when you hear, you just tell yourself, only a leader would do this. So it might just be a word, maybe courageous, maybe passion, maybe something. Okay, so that we do not spend a lot of time on this because there are more pressing issues. So when I see some of these words, these are the things that brings about leadership in my head. When I see influence, when I see possibility, when I see someone who's trying to harness things, someone who is trying to inspire something, someone who is courageous, someone who is resourceful, someone who's taking a risk, somebody who cares, someone who is ready, someone who is able to suppress their own ego just to achieve something. All of these words for me bring about leadership. So Abraham says leadership is doing what is right in the quest to inspire followers. It just captures, like I said, inspiring. There are several adjective or adverbs, action words or phrases that we can put in this slide here that illustrates or depicts leadership. Is there any word here that you disagree with? You're like, what is this word here? I don't think it's supposed to be there. I don't know how it relates to leadership. You can put that, but I can assure you that all of these words are the things that makes up a leader, that encompasses who a leader is. And the reason why I picked all of this word is because in the subsequent slide, we'll be seeing, simple definitions, just one-liner definitions that would reflect all of these words that we've put here. So I just want you to remember that whenever you think of leadership, you think of influence, according to John Maxwell, you think of, someone that inspires you, maybe a role model or a mentor, somebody you see from afar, or when you see somebody passionate about their job, they just help you say, if this person can take this craft seriously, I think I can do mine seriously. Some other times you see courage, someone who is willing to walk away from something, someone who is willing to speak up for something, or for some persons. Then resourcefulness, you see someone who is able to, manage where things are not enough and the person is still able to make do with what they have. Someone who is able to work effectively and efficiently with resources. Someone who is willing to say, I can place my bets on this. Let's do it this way. Let's take this risk. If we fail, we fail. And if we make it, we make it. If we fail, we don't see it as a failure. We see it as a learning point, and we see how we can do things better, right? So those are some of the things that cross my mind. We're not really going to spend a lot of time on the definitions because I think it's just something that we can all relate with one way or the other. Now, so these are some of the definitions that, I picked out those keywords from. So what is leadership? The ability to use all available resources to achieve a such objective. So a team in an organization, if you're in a team, you're given a task, you're given certain resources to achieve a particular objective. You definitely have someone who is leading. There's a person who says, okay, you handle these bits, I'll handle this bit. Then we'll come together to integrate. I'm sure we can see those keywords where it talks about resources in the previous slide, where it talks about management, where it talks about risk taking, and then the person is willing to take responsibility to say, if there's someone to blame, if there's someone to be held responsible, if you need feedback, if you need a guide or a thought process, you can always fall back to me. A leader is also someone who's able to influence people to say, we are going this way, and everybody is willing to go there to achieve something, a goal. A leader is someone who's willing to put themselves as risk, to say, when they say, who will bear the cards, the leader is able to say, I'm willing to lead these people. I'm willing to be at the forefront, or I'm willing to be at the back to see that everyone makes it to the front. One who is willing to take responsibilities. And I can assure you that as I'm reading, some of this definition on the screen, you can see yourself in it. You can see, because sometimes leadership is not positional. So no one is going to call you to say, Abraham, you're the head of this department or something. No, I strongly believe that when you're an individual, you're already a leader. Because why? You're first leading yourself. So you're a leader of one, and that one is you. And if you can successfully manage you to achieve something, I think you can reach out to help someone else. It's not in the number of followers or number of persons. It could just be one person that you're able to say, okay, I've gotten this right in this area, and I think I can help someone else to get it right in this area, right? Yeah. Thank you for that, Abraham. Leadership is also taking initiative, because in a scenario where you're giving resources that are not enough, what do you do? How do you go about it? You begin to find ways, alternatives, to say, okay, rather than using maybe $15 to execute this, or £15, I think we can use £5 if we collaborate with this person. You just find a way to make it work. And if it doesn't, you accept your responsibility by stating why it didn't work and how it can be better. And then a leader also listens. That's why I said there are several things that could have been in that first slide that are not there. A leader is one who listens. A leader is one who is willing to stand out. A leader is one with an open mind to say, let's see how it goes. Let's test the waters. Rather than test the waters with 2 feet, let's put one in. Let's see how deep it is. And then let's see if we can put the other feet, One who is willing to hear the opinion of others. You're not just saying, oh, I'm the leader, you only listen to me, just me alone and all of that. No. A leader is also one who inspires others to say, okay, if my leader can do this, I think I can support the team by also doing this. A leader helps you to think creatively. If this is making sense to you, I'd like you to put that in the chat box to say, oh, I resonate here, it makes sense, I can relate with what you're saying. A leader inspires others with a vision. A leader is one who says, hello everyone, this morning we're going to Mars. And he says it in a compelling way, he communicates it so strongly, and everyone just believes, yes, we are going to Mars because this person says this. And we've seen leaders like that all over the world. We've had Steve Jobs, we've seen Elon Musk. People do things that have supposedly been said, oh, it's impossible, there's really nothing like that, it's not real. I remember reading the story of the Wright brothers, when they said they wanted to make a plane that flies. and someone's like, how can metal fly? Gravity, this. People came up with valid reasons, very, reasonable things that are plausible, reasons that are plausible to say, oh yeah, that's true. How can metal really fly? Because whatever you throw must come down, because that's what gravity says. But then they're able to make something that defies gravity and then it works, right? So they're able to inspire others. I'm sure they didn't do it alone. It took teamwork, it took effort. They got other people to contribute. They were able to manage to achieve that goal of what? Seeing a metal fly like a bird in the sky, and it became a reality. A leader is also one who is able to harness the power of many. There's one person who is able to harness the power of many. A leader is one who sees different people and see their strengths, identify them and say, I think this is where you would best function. And the truth is, all of this doesn't even just happen at once. It comes gradually. Sometimes it comes as you age. Sometimes it comes from your experience. We mature differently because of our different exposures, our environments, our experiences, our education. And education, not necessarily the academic system, also has to do with personal education, what you do for yourself. It's your heart speaking to the hearts of others. It's the integration of the heart. You're compassionate about seeing a change. You're using your head, you're thinking about it, and you're involving your soul. That's what leadership is about. The capacity to care. You're able to empathize with others, but as much as you empathize with them, you're also spurring them or pushing them to be the best they can be. A leader is one who is able to see a dream, have a dream, and make it a reality. They conceive an idea and then they make it tangible. They make it something that you can see. A leader is also one who is courageous, and like it's here, courage is not the absence of fear, but it is moving on regardless of your fear. I don't think there's anyone who has ever wanted to do something really big, something really grand that doesn't take a moment to second guess and say, am I not dreaming? Am I not sending myself on a journey that's, I don't know the way we say it in Nigeria here, who sent me? Like, who sent me? Who sent me on this errand? Sometimes we can call it maybe an elephant project or a white dream, but this is what leadership is about, right? So next we will move to some of the levels of leadership. Oh, sorry, facts about leadership. Like we mentioned, leadership is influence. So these are facts that you cannot take away. When you think about leadership, these facts should be topmost at the top of your mind. Once you say somebody is a leader, it's because the person can influence you. And that's why if you look at most of the MDs, the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies that we have, these are people that are admired. These are people that are loved. These are people that, maybe they have some sort of charisma. They just have this likability. You just want to follow them. They share their vision, their story, their idea with you in such a way that you fall in love with it and you can't see how anything can ever go wrong. That's influence. One who is able to help you reimagine, rethink, recalibrate, rejuvenate, re-energize, to just make you say, wow. It's like they've taken you on a journey, like they're taking you to the end. They're telling you, so where we are going, this is where we are going. When we get here, this is how we're going to be. When we move to this level, these are the things we're going to be experiencing. And then you totally forget that life is not a straight line, that it's a curve, the ups and downs. And irrespective, you're like, no, I'm willing to go there. Let's do this. We can do this. They fire up this energy in you and you're like, please, let's go get the moon. We can capture the sun and all of that. That's what leadership is about. It's about influence, and everything rises and falls on leadership, because leadership is the one who would dictate. Leadership is the one who would direct. Leadership is the one who would allocate. So if the leader is not seen correctly, it means that everyone will definitely see a faulty vision. If a leader did not, properly capture an idea or deliver the idea or a vision, it means that everything will fail. It means that things have already failed from the beginning. That's why if you're a leader, you're leading yourself. You're in charge of your personal life. If you do not start your day on the right note to say, okay, in the morning, these are the things I want to do. In the afternoon, I want to go ahead to do this. I want to do that. If you don't have a to-do list or some sort of reminder or a schedule or something to help you, I can assure you that the day will just go. And then in the evening, you just ask, please, where did all the time go? Oh my God, it's 4 already and I haven't even done anything. So this is on a personal note now. you see that time has just gone and I haven't even started my day. I haven't invested or harnessed the day as much as I thought that it will be. Leadership also takes responsibility for every area of the task. So the illustrations I'll be using now are on a personal level, and then we can now, begin to cascade them to every area of your life. So if you have a task or maybe doing an assignment, I have to research, I have to do this, I have to get writing materials, this is how I'm supposed to deliver this. You look at the issue holistically. You're not looking at it from just one side to say, okay, I'm just looking at this from one side. I don't know if we've seen the story where they say some blind men were asked to touch an elephant, and then some people were touching the side and were like, oh my god, this is like a big wall. One was touching the tusk and was saying, oh, this looks like a horn or something. Someone was touching the nose and was saying, oh, this is like a long rope. A leader is not looking from one angle. You're looking at a holistic view, 360-degree helicopter bird's eye view. You're looking at everything, and then you're breaking it down to different tranches or different segments to say, oh, segments A, B, C, to get the full picture that we want. And you take responsibility for it. You would not say, oh, I'm just leaving this. Even if you have delegated it, you have the task of supervision, ensuring that you make resources available, you give direction, you give feedback, you give constructive feedback and all of that from time to time. And leadership must always be in the hands of the few. That's why if you look at any organization, it's usually a pyramid structure. The base, which is where most employees are, is usually wide. But as you begin to grow up, as you begin to increase, get promoted, mature, you see that it begins to get slim, because leadership cannot be left in the hands of everyone. Not everyone understands leadership. But the truth is, as we will see subsequently, leadership can be taught. It's something that you can learn, right? So you see that leadership cannot be left in the hands of everyone. It's in the hands of a few. You have few people dictating, allocating resources, and that's why you have your team lead in it. You have you're a team member. You have a team lead or a unit lead. If your team is in a group, you have a group head. If your group is in a division, you have a divisional head. If you're divisional head, if you're under maybe a business segment, you have a segment head. For different organizations, you have different cadres, and you grow, and then you begin to see that some of the skills and competencies that you required as a team member is different from what you would need as a team lead. You would need to focus on certain skills as a group head. So you can't just stay the same. You just see that you have to keep evolving. You have to keep evolving. And importantly, as you evolve on each and every one of this level, your credibility is very, very important. Your credibility and integrity, there are things that you do not want to joke with. And that has to do with your reputation. Because as you carry out your tasks, you're known for certain things. Your employees or members of staff or your colleagues will begin to note you for something. When they're doing your task, they're like, oh no, I have to do this excellently because my boss pays attention to details. If I don't, cross all the T's, dot the I's, she will definitely spot it. There are some leaders like that. That there are those kind of leaders. There are other leaders where you're saying, oh, this presentation has to be visually appealing because my boss likes colors. So I cannot just use something, something plain, something basic. I need to look for templates to spice it up, to juice it up. You would definitely be known for something. So that is up to you to determine, what do you want to be known for in your leadership? What do you want to be remembered for? When we think about Steve Jobs and Apple, we think of innovation, we think of creativity, we think of simplicity. You just know that something new, something magical is about to come when you think of Steve Jobs and what he has done with the iPhone, right? So I hope that as we're listening to all of this, we're beginning to, maybe somewhat jot something, write something that you would do differently and say, okay, I think I want to be known for this. I want to be known for excellence. I want to be known for punctuality. We have some bosses who would always be the first to get to the office. Not because they have to. In fact, they are the bosses. They can decide to, take up more time and come late. But they'll be like, no, because that is who they are. Some other bosses would not come. until maybe 9 or noon, but it doesn't mean that they won't get their tasks done. Different personalities, but great leadership either way. So choose what you want to be known for. So you can start creating something sort of like a leadership persona to say, when they say, what's a stellar leadership like? This is what a stellar leadership like. What is an Abrahamic leadership like? Someone is able to write something that perfectly describes you, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself. A leadership is one who also poses tremendous faith in people. A leader is one who is able to inspire people when it looks like they're down, when things aren't working, especially with what is going on in the world, wherever we found ourselves. If you're a leader in Israel or you're a leader in Gaza, definitely you can't be saying things that would put your colleagues or members of staff down. At this point, you have to put so much tremendous faith in them, telling them they can make it, they can move past this. It has happened before. They can move past this. You're telling them how they can stay safe, what they can do differently. You don't want to kill them before death comes. So you want to inspire them to leave, right? So a leader is one who is able to put tremendous faith in people, believe in people. Most of the times when we meet people, we're meeting them with their potentials very crude. They might not have it refined, but you're able to see possibility and say, if I can just nudge you a bit, I think you would excel in this area. I mean, I've seen people who had great faith in me. I remember luckily for me, most of my learnings, I got them from church. One of my leaders who is late now, Pastor Livingstone, he was one who told me from a very young age that, oh, I think you're a very good communicator. And well, I just said, okay, I just had faith that he would not lead me astray. He would guide me. So he just says, I think you should join the debates in church. Then we had this debating community where we went on debates with other churches, and then he would write out the script and tell me to memorize it. It was from there I learned how to memorize. Sometimes I had to cram, I had to write things verbatim. I learned, different quotes. I had to, put different examples, illustrations, and all of that. He saw that in me from when I was very young, and he's been gone for 4 or 5 years, but I can say that I think wherever he is, if he can see or if he can hear me, I'm sure he will be happy that he made this great investment, because I don't think anyone, not even my school teachers, really paid attention to this part of me like he did. That's why some of your learnings and your nudging might not be from the educational system. It might not be in the place of work. It could come from anywhere. It could come from anywhere. So, don't close your mind to it. Say, oh, the only place where I can be a leader is at the workplace. No, it might be in that small group or that cell if you're a church person. It could be with your siblings also. If you're like the firstborn, maybe you're the last born, you just learn about how to be a good follower, but there's always a learning point. Leadership can be taught. Great leaders are effective. Sorry about that typo. Effective communicators. And one of the ways to show that you're a leader, particularly in the workplace, or if you find yourself in a place external to your family, is by problem solving. There's a problem, you're not whining about the problem, you're not complaining, you're not doing the blame game. The next question you're asking is, how can we solve this? I think we can go about it this way. I think we can try this. When you're able to offer solutions and ideas, people listen to you and say, I think this person will be able to guide us with this. Let's go and meet this person. You become the go-to person immediately. Everybody likes a problem solver. Everyone likes that person who is able to make their life better. Everyone likes a problem solver on their team. When they're saying, oh, create a team, they're like, I want you to be on my team. I want you to be on my team, because they know that you would make it happen for them. And like we said, great leaders don't move alone. They're assisted by other people, because they really cannot do it alone. Look at any organization that is making it. You want to think of Amazon. Imagine if Jeff Bezos had to do all of those things. Definitely, Amazon would never be Amazon. So to do big things, you need to be assisted by people wherever you are, at whatever level. So those are some of the facts about leadership. If this is clear, please can we put 1 in the chat box? If this is clear, I've been audible, you've been hearing me so far, please put it in the chat box. 1, just put 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Let me just see that we're following. Thank you for that, Faith. Thank you. And thank you, Abraham. I know some of us are probably busy, maybe away from our phones and or unable to type, but thank you for responding. So leadership, levels of leadership. So as we grow in life, this is how I think that leadership would go. This is the level, or this is the step, or this is the hierarchy or the cadre that I think that leadership will go. First is positional leadership. Now, what is positional leadership? Positional leadership is the form of leadership that you get as a result of the position that you acquire or the position where you currently are. First is you're born in a family. So if you are the firstborn, by virtue of the position you have in that family, it makes you a leader. And don't forget that I also mentioned that the fact that you're even a person on your own, an individual, you're first leading yourself, because your parents will give you words of wisdom, advice, counsel, and all of that is left for you to decide if you want to go the route that they're actually, telling you about. So positional leadership has to do with you as a person and the position that you acquire, whether you're a first child or all of that. Positional leadership for some people can also be by virtue of team that they work with in an organization. You might be a one-man team, maybe it's just you. It might be a small business where you're just the one who is running your business. So when they ask you, what are you? You say you're a CEO, because even though the business you run is just on Instagram and you really don't need any other person, just you to run it. Maybe you go to the market, you source for the materials and you're able to dispatch it. You're still the CEO. CEO is a position. So that's positional leadership. But another level of leadership that you can also attain is permissioned leadership. Permission leadership. And in a place where you have 2 or 3 people gathered, definitely there's always a leader. A leader would have to emerge, not because that leader is better than you, not because that leader knows how to do it better, but you just agree that, oh, it's a teamwork, let him do it, let her do it. You just tell the person to assume the helms of affair. And we see this everywhere. For example, if you're taking maybe a short course or a program in school and you're in a team of 5 and you have to do a presentation, you just tell, most of the time it's whoever is preparing the slides that will be the team leader. Just like, okay, you're our team leader, do the presentation. I will send my input, they will send their input, then you merge it together. So you're the team leader. So it's permissioned. It wasn't like you imposed yourself. It wasn't like you sort of had to get it. Your colleagues, because most of the time we see this with our peers, where everyone is on the same age level, experience level, grade level, but someone still has to, speak. And everybody just says, okay, you be our team leader. Permission leadership. At one point or the other in our life, we have experienced this. If we have not experienced this yet, we will experience it. And if you don't ever experience this, it means you're always running away. You're isolating yourself from it. So you're like, oh no, I can't do it. No, I don't want to serve. No, I just want to be my own. No, I'd rather be a follower. At one point or the other, you might just have to do this. So just prepare. And then the next one is production leadership. Now, this is the level of leadership that has to do with reproducing. They're reproducing people like you, because one of the things that is said of leadership is a leader without a successful leader without a successor is a failure. Because whatever level of leadership you have attained, you really don't want to be there forever. You can't even be there forever, even if it's a royalty thingy or a monarchy thing where it looks like it's lifelong. One day you will die. And that's why you already have your kids. For the royal family, they already have their kids, assuming some roles and positions so that they know how to go about the task just in case something happens. So it might look like, oh, it's taking so long and it looks like it will never happen, but it would eventually happen. So don't be a solo person. Don't be a Lone Ranger to say, oh, I will do it, I'll keep doing it, I'll do it, you have to start thinking of posterity. You have to start thinking, if I leave this role, who am I going to give it to? And a typical example of one who does this well that I really admire is Bernard Arnold. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name well. He's the president, chairman of the LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy Group. You know, they have the Louis Vuitton, they have Moet Hennessy, they have different flagship brands. And the man has, you know, successfully found a way to position all of his children to manage these different businesses. And I think that that's succession planning. And, you know, if you look at, because I did a study on the family earlier this year, if you look at these families, each of them are managing business portfolios that it might not be intentional, it might be subtle, they might not even know. But when I look at the businesses, I see that the eldest children are managing the businesses with the biggest portfolio. And then the other kids are also doing that subsequently. And the truth is, this is just how the rich think. And if these are places we aspire to be in or be at, I think it's something that we should begin to observe. Another person I admire in recent times, and I see what she's doing. I don't know if I'm sure we might have observed, but maybe we didn't pay attention to it. I like what Beyonce is doing with her daughter, Blue Ivy, you know, helping her to get comfortable with the cameras, with the large audiences, understanding what a tour is, how a performance is, you know, the rigor and all of that. You know, the exposure that Blue Ivy has. I'm sure some of us, for someone like me, I really, really look forward to have that kind of exposure. So if we're maybe given a stage right now to speak about planning a tour or, you know, suggesting how planning and management will go, I honestly believe that at her level, she would do well because she would really speak, because I think she's really integral. She's really into it. So that is what we should do. Don't wait till the end. Then not say, so who can take over? Who can take over? No. Succession planning is you. So this is production or productive leadership. Let's not forget that we're speaking about is carrying other people along, not just leaving it to yourself, reproducing someone like you, much more someone better than you, because we know that times are changing, seasons are changing. So you also want to choose someone who is agile, who is nimble, flexible, adaptable, able to respond to changes as fast as you did in your time, right? So succession and planning is very great. And we can also see that in the history of Apple. When Steve Jobs left, it looked like, oh my God, is Tim Cook going to be able to fit into his shoes? But I assure you that I don't think Tim Cook is doing bad. And I think they're also doing well with the innovations. When Steve Jobs was alive, there was no iWatch, there wasn't the Air Max, that bigger airport. So we can see that every new leader should come with their own innovation and creativity. So would you produce a leader that would surpass you, or you just want to be the best alone? So when you're reading the history of that company, you just say, oh, so in the time of this person, no, it should get better by the day. So identify people wherever you are. It might even be your siblings. You've gone through high school, you've gone through the university, you've got a certain grade, and you're able to advise your siblings to say, I think you can do better if you do it this way, because I was distracted by this, so don't be distracted by this. They're learning from your own experience. So what their own experience is fresh. They're making fresh mistakes, not repeating the cycle. And if they would also speak to your younger sibling will be able to take and learn from your own experience and the experience of your older siblings. And I like what Abraham is saying. So Abraham says GIGM, and GIGM, because we have audience from outside the country, is for God is Good Motors. It's a transport company here in Nigeria. After the founder, I believe the founder died, his children were able to, you know, take up the helm of affairs because they understood the business, and the business has grown. It has become bigger with more outlets, running effectively. And because the kids are much more younger, they are able to infuse technology, which is very brilliant. But imagine he hadn't involved his kids along the line. The business would have just died with the man, and we'll just tell ourselves, oh, there was a time when for those who usually travel by road, luxurious bus, which I did a lot going young, is we knew that there were these buses called Chisco buses, Ekene Dilichuku buses, you know. But now the founders have died and they are nowhere. Those businesses are not there anymore because there wasn't any succession planning in place. So if you're a business person, one of the things that I'm going to suggest is no one is hoping to die prematurely, but you really want your business to outlive you. You want to see transgenerational businesses. Begin to plan your succession now. So production leadership is also sort of very close to people development leadership. But the thing is, people development leadership doesn't necessarily have to do with people in your inner space. People development leadership means you can now serve as a mentor, you can now serve as a coach, you can serve as a role model to people. So for the productive or production leadership, you are helping reproduce people in your space, in your close circle within you. But for people development leadership, you're reaching out to others. You're organizing. So something very interesting that I saw was, I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw masterclass by Indra Nooyi, and Indra Nooyi is the CEO for PepsiCo. And if you followed her career, you see that she has done some very exciting, tremendous things for a woman who is from India, because she's Indian American. She has done remarkable things in all of the companies where she has worked with. She has turned their fortunes around. There was something she did in PepsiCo with a certain line of products that just changed the whole fortune of the business. I'm like, wow, what's brilliance, what's insight. So a lot of us might never be able to cross paths with Indra Nooyi, but the way we can connect with her is by attending maybe a workshop or a masterclass that she would have, which she already has as a masterclass. I saw the ad on Instagram. You pay to learn from her. She's developing people, so she doesn't necessarily have to try to burn herself out. She has recorded some sort of masterclass, online courses that you can listen to and learn her leadership style, particularly from her. And this is not just about her. We also see in recent times, former president of America, Barack Obama, also going on to have courses and master classes, talk shows, and all of that. And I think one who has found a way to harness these people development leadership space is John Maxwell, with his Equip Foundation, and how they've gone to different nations of the world, and the conference where they have, where he gives his direction and his inputs per time. So people development leadership is you reaching out to others, and showing forth your leadership style to others. And then the last one here is personhood leadership. Now, this personhood leadership, the way I say it is how some persons are just leaders because of who they are, like what they've embodied. Like there are persons whose life has, show forth success. They've achieved success in certain ways with their life, with everything that they do, with anything that they touch. And it might also be with their age. So imagine coming to a place and then you meet someone who is 100 years old. Now, the reason why you would see that person as a leader is because for someone to live up to the age 100, it definitely means that there's something that person has done right. You would agree with me that you would, in your mind, you say this person has taken this person has some self-discipline, this person has a good health routine, or maybe a good skin routine. Imagine the person's teeth are still, dentition is still complete, the person's eyeglasses hasn't dimmed. You definitely know that person is a leader and there's something to learn. Not all leaders have title. I'm sure we know Robin Sharma has a book about the leader without title. So these are some of the levels of leadership that I have identified and learned from different materials, resources, and persons. If this makes sense to you, you can put that in the box, and if you want to give them numbers, you can say, oh, I think I'm currently leader 1 and 2, because by virtue of the position I occupy in my family, I'm a leader as the first child. Permission leadership, maybe in your organization, the Indra Nooyi, INDRA NOOYI. There are 2, Indra Nooyi. Very popular. You can't miss it. Even if you spell it wrong on Google, Google will help you spell it right. Okay, so levels of leadership. Next, kinds of, this is not supposed to be kinds of leadership growth. This title, there's a mistake. I'm sorry about that. It's kinds of leadership. So we have people who are natural leaders. There are some people that when you're in a space with them, they already, take responsibility. They're jumping here, they're doing this, they're willing to serve, they're doing this, and you just tell yourself, this person is already a leader. Just make them leaders. And like we repeated before, we have positional leaders. But then we'd also see that we have something that I wrote there, authority through knowledge. Now, there are some leaders who become leaders because of the knowledge and authority they have. For example, in the educational system, your professors or our lecturers or the doctors, they are leaders because they already have that knowledge. They know more than we do, and that's why we're paying for it. So every time you're seeking knowledge and you're going to pay for it, or it might be a free class, whatever it is, you just feel like, okay, this person knows something that I don't know, or this person has an idea about what I do not know about. I think I can learn from the person. So some people are leaders in that way. Next, we also have situational leadership. Now, using this analogy, if you're going for a road trip and in that vehicle, you have a mechanic, you have a professor, you have a doctor, and you have a pilot all going on a road trip, and the vehicle, stops. Automatically, the situational leader in this case is who? Who wants to tell me who the situational leader is? You're on a road trip, the vehicle stops, you have a pilot, you have a surgeon, you have a professor, you have a mechanic. Who becomes the leader in that scenario? Whether you know it or not, the mechanic becomes the leader because that is his force. That is where he's strong. He is able to figure out everything and fix it immediately because that is his area of expertise. As much as the doctor or the professors are all experts, you cannot say, I'll call on the doctor to come and fix the car. Even if the pilot is the highest paid or the highest earning person there, you would not call on the pilot because in this situation, who you need is a mechanic. So there are some situations that, just automatically makes you a leader. Maybe you're in a team and everyone in the team is saying, I know how to use Microsoft Word, and this is a data tax. And you just say, oh, I know how to use Excel. They'll be like, yes, it's an Excel tax. You are the one who automatically becomes the leader, not because you are better than everyone there or more brilliant or all of that, but it's because you have a unique skill, a competence or a feature that is required at that given moment. So we can see that in this situation, the mechanic becomes the leader. We also have the relational authority. This is in the case of a family or maybe a group of friends. Maybe a group of friends coming together to form an investment club. You have one who's always doing the research to say, I know you all have money. I found this opportunity, and I think that we can go about this. That person, by virtue of relationship, family, it can be ties, and also maybe in it could be in marriage, whatever it is. There's this authority, also shared authority. Your mom is a leader in the house, your father is also the head of the house. Everyone is contributing their quota relationally. The reason another parent cannot just come out there to come and give you rules in your own home. It doesn't work that way. They're a leader in their own family by their relationship and all of that. And then sometimes we have some aunties and uncles who are always willing to say, do this, do that, and all of that. Some other people you can call them proximity leaders. So for example, in Nigeria here, where if you stay in a certain community, a child is not just raised by his or her parents, a child is raised by the whole community. So if you do something wrong and your parents are not around, you would have been punished before your parents come. And then when your parents come, your parents will now give you the ultimate punishment. But you know that you've already started receiving your punishment. And this is where we can put proximity leaders, because your neighbors, community members, if you're in a school, your teachers, people around you, people that know you, people that can rebuke you even before the main people that you consider as leaders are people around you. Proximity, they are within your circle, they are within your radius, they can rebuke you, they can correct you. And then you also have leadership by success. Some people, the only reason why we're listening to them is because they are successful. And really, if someone is successful, you really want to listen to the person, particularly if you have found yourself in a certain field. For example, I see my friend Emmanuel in the thank you for joining. So Emmanuel is in the HR space, and I know that he follows certain people like Yewande Jinodu, Lara Yeku, Yemi Fashion. And the reason why you're following these people is because you're already successful in that part where you want to be in. Now, it doesn't mean that other successful leaders, you would not follow them. Say, for example, maybe a Dangote or an Otedola, they're successful, but they're not successful in that field where you want to be. Perhaps if you wanted to be maybe a business leader some sort, you can now say, okay, I think I should look more to these people. So by virtue of success, a person can become your leader. And then we also have mentorship, where someone is willing to teach you the ropes, someone is willing to guide you, someone is helping you to, you're leveraging their experiences to avoid some of the mistakes that they have experienced. Then we have leadership by seniority. So if you are the second child or the third child, you have the first, you have elderly ones, you also have uncles and aunties by seniority, and then you have divine leadership for persons of faith, whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim. You just have a pastor or a guide, whatever religion, a Buddhist, whatever. You just have someone who is giving you that spiritual direction or explaining things to you for divine leadership. Now, as we grow, we'll be rounding off shortly. There are certain leadership competencies that we should have. I know it's not easy, and the truth is, I'm also learning like each and every one of us. But these are things that I tell myself that as I learn, I think that my friends, my colleagues, people around me can also learn alongside. I cannot say, oh, let me wait to achieve or learn all of this before I now start teaching people. No, we can all grow together. As I learn, I share. I'm always willing to share anything that I learn immediately, because there's no point hoarding. I just don't know how that thing works though. So this leadership thing that I'm sharing with us, I learned it I think August or September, and I just told myself, oh, why can't I share with some of my colleagues something that I'm already learning, putting to use? I think I should share with my colleagues. So one of the leadership competencies that we should develop is strategically developing others. You might have identified somebody around you. For example, it might even be if you are married and you have a help. It might be something that you see in your help. Your help will not be with you forever, because at some point you might have to maybe do bigger things, relocate. Your help might maybe have to go back to her parents. You definitely want to leave her better or him better than they are. So look for ways you can strategically develop them. If you have a help that maybe really likes cooking, and then you have a conversation to say, so what exactly would you like to do with your life? And the help says, okay, so I think I would like to be a chef or something. Okay, begin to make the mistakes here. I know sometimes it can be expensive, not even now where the economy is very, very fantastic. The prices of things are high, and then someone just comes to waste something. You can be part of their learning process. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People want to know that you care about them, and then they'll be willing to be loyal to you. They'll be willing to also support your causes. So this is using the analogy of a home. It might also be in your organization. Okay, so let me come back to Emmanuel again. Emmanuel is maybe an associate or a senior associate, and a newbie just comes in. And when a newbie comes in, the newbie is referred to as HR generalist, where the person has to learn everything. Emmanuel can say, okay, so when I was here, these were some of the mistakes I made. I don't want you to make this mistake. This is what you should do. In your first 3 months, I think these are the things you should pay attention to. In the next 3 months, this is what you should do. Have you written this professional exam? I think you should do it so that your growth can be rapid. Emmanuel has identified that this person is hardworking, this person is willing, because there are some people that they really don't need your help. So once you identify that, you actually don't want to waste your energy by, which can be referred to as maybe fetching water inside a basket. It will never get filled and you'll be frustrated. So you really don't want to do that. So that's why it's saying strategically develop others, someone who can also make your life easier. Then also another thing a leader does is relationship management. And this is also an area where I'm growing, because that there are some people that it's such a struggle to like them. You don't like them, you don't hate them, you're just indifferent. And sometimes you really don't care. And it's normal as a human, but the truth is you are beyond human, right? You are now a leader where you have to guide everybody to achieve a task. So you cannot say there will be favoritism and all of that. I'm sure that even parents, sometimes some parents have favorites, but they can't just say it, because saying it can breed siblings rivalry. And really, that's one of the greatest things that you don't want to have. I'm not a parent, but I think it's something that we watched in all of these movies and all. You don't want to have siblings rivalry. So you have to find a way to manage all the relationship. Find a way to, that stubborn teammate or colleague that doesn't listen, that is just always full of themselves, they always have their opinion, they know the best way to go about it, you still have to find a way to manage that person, because that person is on your team and that person might have a skill that you really, really need. So at this point, you really can't do without the person. You have to find a way to manage that relationship. And there's really no straight jacket, one size fits all solution. You have to try different ways and you would eventually get it. And that way you go on to be able to further teach people how to go about it. So the next one is critical thinking. And what is critical thinking? The truth is, thinking is hard work. Not everybody likes to think. People just like the easy way out, very relaxed, chilled way. But the truth is, every great work, every great innovation, invention that we see, they were products of deep thoughts. Like critical thinking, somebody really sat down and thought about it. Somebody kept asking why. Why do we have to use the typewriter? Why can't we have a personal computer? And as we know, IBM, Apple with the Mac, they found a way to revolutionize computing. Because of them, right now, we can have a laptop. From a laptop, where we emerged to having tablets. It's because somebody sat down to critically think, why are we doing things this way? Okay, everyone, I actually think either ways that this thing, if you're in Nigeria, you know what this is, this small hand fan. I think it's an innovation because somebody thought about it and said, okay, so people are hot. People want to receive air while moving around. Can we do something that is compact, something that is portable, something that can be charged, something that can last a bit, something not too expensive? So they thought about the material to use. Okay, how do we charge it? They thought about all of those things and they brought it out and we all embraced it. But it didn't just come from just casually playing. It's the fact that somebody sat down and thought about it and said, I think we can do this. So a leader, which we all are here, this is a realm where your thinking is producing wisdom. Your thinking is producing solutions. Your thinking is producing answers. Is bringing remedies, solutions, not adding chaos, critical thinking. And there are several courses online where we can learn critical thinking. The best way to learn anything is to practice it. So just keep, there's this framework for problem solving. I don't know if it's called the 5 whys or the 7 whys, where if there's a problem, you ask yourself, why did it happen? When you answer that why, ask yourself, so why did that answer happen? When you get the answer, you ask yourself, why did that answer happen? I'm sure by the time so the whole idea is that by the time you eventually get to the 5th or the 7th why, you have gotten to the root of the matter. So in this case, you're not just on the shallow level, you are drilling down to the crux of the matter to say, this is the real issue. If we can solve this, then ultimately every other whys will be taken care of. Such as when there's a leakage, maybe a type breaks in the house and everywhere is wet. Of course, you're going to clean everywhere to make it dry, but you know that is not the solution. If you don't cover the main leakage or the broken pipe, you will continue cleaning. So you don't want a temporary solution to a permanent problem. You want to get a permanent solution, and it's only critical thinking that would actually bet those kind of solutions. And like you said, effective communication, everything. Communication is the lifeblood of everything. There's something that I heard today. I thought about it. The reason why there's conflict anywhere. So we're in a meeting today after service in church, and then my pastor said something that struck me. He said that the reason for conflict is communication. It's either there was poor communication or no communication. So the communication has to be clear. It has to be effective. And communication is, oh yes, thank you very, very much. Yes, a critical component of root cause analysis in conflict management, communication. You can't take that away. Anything that can be spoken about can be resolved. You just need two parties who are willing to listen to each other, communicate, hear my side. And listening is such a powerful skill that is also incorporated in communication, where you are listening not to respond, but you are listening to hear my own side of the story and put yourself in my shoe, that if I was looking from your perspective, how would it be? I'm sure we've seen this picture where there are 2 persons standing. One person is standing on this edge, another person is standing on this edge, and there's a number. So when the other person at the other end is looking at the number, he's looking at a 9. And then from this edge, I'm looking at a 6. And then we're arguing, it is 6. No, it is 9. It is 6. It is 9. All we have to do is just say, okay, let's switch positions and let's see. And then you turn and then you see, if you're standing there, you're actually seeing a 9. And if you're from my end, you actually see a 6. So these are very simple. They look very simple, but there are things that we should try to practice. Same thing with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence has several components. And I don't think there's anyone who can say, oh, I've gotten to the peak of emotional intelligence. No, I don't think that there's anyone that will say I've gotten to the peak. We keep on learning. Even Daniel Coleman, the man who wrote the book on emotional intelligence, social intelligence. Unfortunately for me, I was lucky to be in one of his, not one, in like 3 of his classes. So I learned emotional intelligence from him, Daniel Coleman, and he's an expert in it. You can look him up on YouTube. He has some free videos where he has been interviewed, and you can pick a thing or two. If you can't pay for his personal courses because they are expensive, you can learn something from him in the different webinars that he has hosted for free on several other platforms. You know how emotional intelligence has several components that has to do with, self-awareness. One of the parts is self-awareness, understanding yourself. Maybe the reason why you're reacting like that to another person is because you are angry. So you first want to check with yourself. Self-awareness, people awareness, self-regulation, relationship management. These are components of emotional intelligence that you want to learn. And the truth is, you don't learn it in one day. You keep learning, you keep improving. And there are some days where you even tell yourself, oh, I think I've surpassed this level. And then you flip it, you lose it. And this happened to me on Friday. I was on the road and I was walking, and there was someone in front of me, a lady with a baby, and then there was another person in front of her, and the guy was really walking slow. It was a narrow way, so there was no way you could, overtake someone. And I just said, oh, please, could you move past? And the lady just looked at me and insulted me. And I just thought that I wasn't referring to you, that I was referring to the person in front of you. But I actually think that she was frustrated. And, she started, giving me this, I don't want to, it's their Yoruba insults. I just started giving it to me. And honestly, I'd been triggered. This is me thinking about it in hindsight. I'd been triggered. Somebody made me upset at work. And, I was just thinking about it. And, when she was holding those words at me, honestly, I did not remember emotional intelligence. So my friends and colleague here. But the thing is, it's been a while I insulted somebody. So I didn't know what to say. So everything she was saying to me, I'll just send it back to her. She gave me the first English word she was, you're a useless girl. I told her you're a useless woman because she's a woman. So as she was saying it to me, I'll just send it back to her. And then we eventually had to part ways because she was going this way and I was going this way. And I just started thinking about it now. I can't believe that I actually started responding to that woman. But I had to check myself to say, okay, so what triggered it? Because on a normal day, I would have smiled and I would have moved on, but I didn't move on this day. So even that was emotional intelligence, having learned from one of the best emotional intelligence teachers in the world, I still failed. So I'm like, oh, no, that's not good. But then we are human. Emmanuel, yes, so you know how Lagos can be. Oh my, like really mine. I started laughing when I remember that experience. I just told myself, I was going to get better, and I told myself that, oh, I forgive her and I really don't mean those things. I don't know how she's feeling wherever she is, but I really felt bad that I acted that way. Another thing written here is stress and conflict management. Stress and conflict management. I remember talking to one of my friends, Dr. Dami. I was telling him there was a time when I was always stressed. Coming back, I'll be so tired. And I asked him, how can I manage my stress? And then he told me to use this 2x2 metrics of it's very popular. It's something that you can see online. 2x2 metrics where it says important, not important, urgent, and not urgent. So it tells you that the tasks that are important and urgent, you should not delegate it. Do it by yourself. The one that is important but not urgent, perhaps you can do it later, or you can delegate it to somebody if it doesn't need your input, and that really helps me. So every time I want to draw my to-do list at work, the first thing I'm drawing is that quadrant, so that I'm prioritizing and using my energy when I'm still fresh and well energized to do the things that really matter. So stress and conflict management is a competence that leaders should find a way to learn. There are several conflict management styles, compromising. There are different ones that we can learn online. This is not a complete management class, but there are several ones that we can learn online. But just always know that communication is a great way to do all of that. And then in recent times, I think before COVID, this might not be a thing. But now that COVID has happened, it has exposed a lot of new things that we need to learn. For example, the ability to lead remote teams. For those of us that maybe work remotely or in a hybrid manner, you know that you might never find all your workers in one place. You might never find everyone seated together. Your core, if you work in a tech firm, for example, your core team lead might be in China, another one might be in Ukraine. There'll be several places all over the world, and you have to get things done. So as a leader, you need to know how to, like you said, harness and manage these different potentials in different places to achieve that goal. So it's something that we have to learn. I've really not been opportune to practice this, so I really wish I could have shared an example, but I don't know if those checkup calls that we do usually work. You know how those meetings are. People just turn off there. You'll be sleeping on your bed and then you say, I think it's the network. I think it's network. Oh, it's frozen. Oh, it's this. You know those memes that we see online and then we laugh, and because we can relate because we have been there at some point or the other. So these are the leadership competencies that I think that each and every one of us should have as we grow. Levels of leadership. Let me see how much we have to go. Okay, we're almost done. Thank God. So levels of leadership, like I said, first, you are an individual. So the first and the best thing you can do for yourself at this stage is to be a highly capable individual. Now, a highly capable individual is that person who is able to do their tasks, lead their lives, do everything successfully. Okay, and I need to tell you that the definition of success is different. We all have our definitions of success. For some persons, once they get 1 million naira, they believe they're successful. For some others, when they have a PhD, they believe they're successful. Some when they believe that when they're happily married with children, they're successful. Some when they become grandparents. Everybody has what they determine to be success for them. So whatever is success to you, it's what a highly capable individual is. But for me, I believe that a successful individual is one who is able to lead the various aspects of their life successfully, not failing at one and sort of excelling at one. So you're a good job executive, but you're a drug addict. I don't see how that is really. So you say a successful job executive, but a drug addict. It sort of conflicts. So if you're going to be a success, just try to be a success all round. It's not achieved in one day. One area you'll be better in one area than the other, but just make sure that you keep on growing. And every individual doesn't work in isolation. You find yourself in a team. That's where the second stage comes in. Contribute a team member. So don't just be a team member. Be a contributing team member who is able to offer ideas, solutions. You're making things better, not worse for your team lead. And once you're a good team member, you work well, you're able to relate with everyone, you'll be promoted and say, oh, I think that this person can be a team leader or a manager. So and on this level, you're learning different things. As a highly capable individual, you're learning how to be skilled and well competent. As a contributing team member, you're learning how to exchange idea, generate idea, work well with others, teamwork and feedback, interpersonal relationship. And then they say, oh, you've learned this well, come and be a competent team manager. Now you're learning leadership at a small scale. Maybe you're just managing a team of 3 people who are different. So you're learning how to manage just 3 people and you do it successfully well. And they say, okay, come and be a leader. So now as a leader, you're leading maybe a bigger team, maybe a team of 4 people with 3 persons in it. And that's 12 altogether. You become a good leader. And then from being a leader, you become an executive, maybe an executive director, a C-suite and all of that. But these are the levels of leadership growth. And everywhere we find ourselves, it can alternate. Because in a team, you might be the team leader, but in a group, you're a contributing team member. So don't forget that your roles would alternate. And in the different areas of your life, you can also find yourself in different places. So it would always alternate. So either way, just keep improving. So right now, if I ask some of us, where are we? Some of us are competent team managers because we lead a team. But then because we're within a group, we are also a team member. So most of the time, you are always hovering maybe at this stage. This is me just assuming, except for people who are running their businesses, they are already executives by the virtue of the position, or they are even everything. They are the ones, they are the capable individual, they are the team member, they are the competent manager, they are the effective leader, they are the executive, everything. So these are the levels of leadership that I think and I believe that we should all aspire to be in. And so this is the bonus. The bonus. If you know that you've gotten value for your time so far, please, I'd like you to say, I've gotten value. I've gotten value. I just want to know that we are all on the same page and this has not been a waste of time for you. It's something that is valuable that you go back to sit down and check again. I really appreciate our feedback and our comments. I can see them. Thank you so much, Kelvin, for joining. Thank you, Iyano. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Tamika. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you, Abraham. I don't know if that was intentional. I've gotten values. I'm happy about that. Thank you to everyone. Okay, so the last one, because as a leader, one of the things that we've said over time is beyond leading yourself, you would lead other people. And sometimes leadership can be a thankless job. There are some people who are, I don't want to say they're unleadable because I don't think there's such a word as that. But there are some people who just makes leadership very frustrating. And if you have your way, you will definitely fire them or push them to some other team. But have you also identified that there are some people you don't get along with well, but another person gets along with them? It means that there's something that person has identified. There's a hack to it. And it would be nice for you to know how that person is going about it, because you never can tell if you're going to, for some of us who are going to be parents, you don't know if any of your words are going to be like that. So how would you go about it? This time around, you can't take your child away. You have to train the child, right? So we just have to find ways around it. We have to keep learning. I mean, that's what life is all about, lifelong learning. And so these are the 4 kinds of people you really never want to have as your teammates, or, just want to have anything to do with. And you don't want to try to change them because they don't even want to change. People who don't think they have a problem. Have you met people like that? Some people you cannot see the frame when you're in the picture. You can't see, so there's a frame. You can't see the frame when you're in the picture, except it has been printed or produced or something. But some people will just never listen. You tell them, oh, so I have identified this, maybe you do a 360-degree feedback and you say, oh, so, because sometimes you also don't want to criticize. You want to get people's feedback and opinion to be sure that it is not you who is just judging the person or thinking otherwise. So you just ask the person, I identified this and I think that you should improve. And the person argues with you and you are so frustrated. You're like, is it that you cannot see that you have a problem? And you keep talking and rambling and doing this. The truth is, I feel there's definitely a solution. I'm sure somebody has the solution. It's just that maybe we haven't really identified it yet, or I haven't seen it. But please, let's all be on the lookout so that when we get it, we can share with ourselves and make ourselves better. So 1, people who don't think they have a problem. How people say, this training thing, I'm not the bride, they'll come. I'm not the problem. I'm the problem's problem. So please, we don't want those kind of people. And people who are proposing the wrong strategy. Have you been in a meeting where, of course, we said there's nothing like a stupid idea that everyone should say something, you never can tell. And then somebody proposes a strategy and in your mind, you're like, so you don't say it out because you don't want to dampen anybody's morale or something, but you just ask yourself, so in your mind, you think you have said something reasonable. Like, no, did you sit down to really think about what you said, or you spoke without thinking? Because some people, they actually speak without thinking. They speak first and think later instead of the reverse. So they always just propose the wrong thing. And those kind of people, every time we're in a meeting and they say they have an opinion, we are like, okay. Once they just finish speaking, you not tell them you are right, you're wrong. You won't say anything. You just say, next person, because you actually don't want to make them feel that, because you never know, one day they would say the right thing. So people are always proposing the wrong strategy. You really don't want to have this kind of people on your team. Next is those who should not be on the job. I don't think this kind of people should be encouraged because they can be infectious. They can affect the morale of other people. They are like a virus. And if they are not removed or cut or nipped, it will spread and it will be bad. And an area where I've seen people do this in recent times is when people quiet quit on a job. Now, HR people will understand it. So quiet quitting is when you're already tired of doing a certain job, but you have not left because you have not gotten another job. So you are doing the minimum, the barest minimum. You're not taking initiative. You're not trying to make things better. You really don't care. You don't have an opinion. If anything is going wrong, you're not there. Like, I can't come and kill myself. It's not my concern. It's not my business. I am on my own. I am for me and me alone. I'm not interested. Really, you don't want to have those kind of people on your team. If you identify that kind of person on your team, it would be very nice to find a way to maybe rekindle the person's fire or energy to do the job well, or just find a way to excuse the person out, or if the person would like to be in another team, find a way to move such a person to another team, because their attitude can be infectious. And it's not everyone who has a very strong or have developed thick skin towards, negativity. So we have to try as much as possible to remove every negative energy around you. And there's some other people who think that everyone is the problem. If you ask them, why did you not do this job well? They'll tell you because this one did this, that one did that, that one did that, that one did that. They don't see how they themselves contributed to the problem. It's similar to almost the first one. People who don't think they have a problem. Those who think everyone else is the problem and they're the perfect person. There's a problem. And this is not just in the workplace. This is generally in life. You really, really don't want to be amongst these people, except if maybe you're a therapist or you're into counseling, and then you know that, oh, the reason why you're with them is because you are there to help them. But if you are not called, please just avoid them by all means. And with these few points of mine, I want to say thank you to each and every one of us. Thank you to each and every one of us for joining this class. So I'm going to stop. So I was trying to create a template here. I haven't successfully created it, so we don't have it yet. So with these few points of mine, I want to say a very, 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 very big thank you to each and every one of us for joining this class. I will stop recording now. And please, if we have